Hello everyone. My name is Pratap and you actually clicked on this because you're also curious on how to actually remain consistent. Over the last 4 to 5 years, I've gone ahead and lost 50 kgs. I've gone ahead and learned how to coach. I've showed up on my relationship and I've been consistent at things that I've picked up. Now, I'm not the only one. I'm sure there are millions of others who have done this. However, I chose to actually share this with a lot of other people so that everybody else also can benefit from this. So if you've come this far in the video, I request you to watch till the end. One thing I assure you is that by the time you've done with this, you will look at consistency differently. And that's something that I can definitely promise. So what are we actually going to be doing? We are actually covering how to remain consistent and why people have failed and how to fix this. Number one, what is consistency? Consistency is an act of repeated behavior that gets you a result. More often than not, you would ask, why is consistency important? And to be very honest, I can tell you in multiple walks of your life, having consistent behavior leads to better results. But more importantly, what it does is it forms habits. Now, habits are subconscious behaviors that you might not know you are aware of. For example, simple example is if you actually wake up and try to brush from your left hand, if you're a righty, trying to brush from your left hand is not going to be easy because your habit that you've formed over a period of time is actually brushing from your right hand. Now, these are some habits that people actually talk very vicariously out there. Everybody gives you this example. But let's take a quick example of how your subconscious mind is wired to have behavioral habits such as binge eating, binge watching, procrastination using social media. It could also be anything and everything related to habits related to your going out to the gym. Maybe you wear your right socks first, then your left socks, your right shoe first, and then the left shoe. Habits form over repeated consistent behaviors. And sometimes it's bad. If you've picked up a habit of smoking, if you've picked up a habit of drinking, that's bad. But consistently doing something right, that is for your body, healthy, actually forms subconscious habit. It becomes second nature to you. Similar to how when you started riding a bike or riding a bicycle when you were younger, the first thing that you did was you were consistent. You fell, you got up, you took the bike, you took the bicycle, you went again. You fell, you got up, you took the bicycle, you went again. Now, honestly speaking, that in itself is consistency, and eventually over a period of time, maybe a month, maybe half a month, depending on each and everybody's learning curve, you eventually landed at becoming good at it. It became subconscious. The moment you sat on that bicycle, the moment you put your foot on the pedal, and the moment you hit that bell, you knew what to do. Your body knew what to do. Now, the truth is most consistent behaviors become habits similar to that. That is why it's important to make things subconscious. You need to be consistent at it. The second thing is it brings results. Now, why does it bring results? I've been doing mindfulness coaching for a while now. I've also been in the industry of HR and learning and development for over 10 years. Now, the only differentiator between great leaders that I work with and the ones that I don't are people who have their own set patterns, their own set understanding of the world, frameworks, and are consistent with it. Now, when I say consistent, I don't mean that they are going out there and not tweaking it every time they implement something. For example, how do you deal with major losses within the company? Now, the leaders that I know who are outstanding and have dealt with this most beautifully are people who have great frameworks for it. But when I spoke to them, the first thing they told me was, Pratap, listen, the first time I implemented this framework, it was shitty. Nobody really understood what I was doing, and nobody really understood how to go about it. Now, these frameworks, obviously, they knew what they were doing, but it's just that nobody believed them. Over a period of time, they figured out, okay, there are multiple elements to the framework. There is a stakeholder element. There is an element of actual problem solving. There's also an element of self-doubt and self-consistency. Over a period of time, they implemented the same framework every time they faced a particular problem. Now, what they also did was understood what needs to be tweaked, and they worked on it. Eventually, after 10 years of having worked on that framework, they deal with losses in a company probably 10 times quicker than any other leader who does not have the same experience under their belt. Does that make them a better leader? Yes. Having consistent patterns that you recognize and patterns that you can fall back on over a period of time and consistently implementing them can actually get you results. The third part that nobody actually speaks about. Now, every YouTube video you would have watched, everything that you would have watched actually tells you, hey, you know what, it'll give you results, it'll bring you habits, all of that is fair. But what it actually builds within you is resilience and expertise. Now, while I'm not a big frontier of somebody who says that number of years of experience brings you expertise, I'm someone who says that if in the 10-year span, I have implemented a particular behavior 1,000 times and somebody has done this only 400 times, I definitely have better expertise than them if I have the intellectual itch to be better every single time. Now, that's the bottom line, right? My expertise comes from implementation and consistently forming routines and patterns that help getting there. Now, if after all of this, if you still have a question of why is consistency important, I think the formative question that you have to ask, taking a step back, is why do I not find it important? Most people do not find it important because it does not give them immediate results. Instant gratification is not a new thing. It was there even before social media existed. But the truth is that today's world, the instant gratification has amplified to an extent where every endorphin hit, every chemical hit in your brain can be produced by just a 30-second video. Now, this is the point where I want to actually take a minute and ask you, why do you think it's not important? Because it's not getting you result today? Or is it because you don't have certainty of result in itself? Take a minute, answer that, and we'll go to the next section. Number 2, why most people fail at this. Why most people fail at being consistent. Now, being consistent is actually not a big thing. I keep saying this over and over again. Being consistent is as simple as waking up and brushing your teeth. You already do that every day. Being consistent is actually wearing your chappals to the office or wearing your shoes to the office or school or college, wherever you're going. So why is it that when you try to be consistent in the other area of your life, for example, if you're trying to become healthy and you want to lose X amount of weight, or you want to just get into that, shirt that you've kept for the last 10 years, we all have that one shirt. Let's be very honest about it. But why is it very difficult to be consistently doing something in that part of your life, whereas the other parts of your life, which are more routine and habit formed, they're easier? Have you asked yourself this? Am I really bad at consistency, or am I just not consistent enough in certain parts of my life and the other certain parts I'm doing a great freaking job at it? Now, why that happens is, very importantly, somebody who goes to the office, right? They're always there at 11:30. For example, take person A, they're always there at 11:30 in the morning. They're there with their tip-top formals and then the shoes, and they have the combed hair, oily hair, and they're just sitting there no matter which day, rain, come sunny, come wind, they're there. The same person, however, fails to actually take care of their diet, something that they're eating every day. They're not consistent. They often eat out. Now, the difference between why they're consistently turning up at top office versus not taking care of their health actually lies in their value system. They value punctuality. They might not value healthy being. It's not their fault. When they grew up, the values that they picked up and the values that resonated with them due to their own circumstances did not have healthy living in their life. Maybe it was not nailed down to them. Maybe they did not pick it up because they did not wake up in an environment where healthy living was something that they had to prioritize. But they did wake up in an environment where punctuality was something that was nailed down to them. Now, if you're someone who's been in the army school, right, both of these values would exist, but more or less, most times, prioritization would happen in terms of punctuality first and everything else next. So, understanding that why we continue to fail at being consistent at certain parts of our life has nothing to do with motivation. If somebody is telling you out there that, hey, you know what, this is about motivation, they are wrong. This is not about making to-do lists. This is not about making something to do with Eisenhower matrix, prioritization, the 2-second rule. Yes, these help, but This is about changing who you are. And if you're not going to take that step, a lot of what you do from now on is not going to help. And it's okay. Maybe that's not what you want. But if you really want to change a part of your life where you want to remain consistent, the first step is to actually try and change the identity. That brings us to the next part. Number 3, how to fix it. A lot of people, when they talk about fixing something, they talk about it in a manner that it is broken. The truth is, while I use the word fix it, it is not broken. It is not broken. It is just something that has been disassembled that you need to figure a way out to assemble it back. It's like a vase that has 2 or 3 pieces fallen down. It is up to you to fill that puzzle up, right? It's up to you to bring those pieces back into the flower vase and make sure that the vase is complete. It's not broken. The value of it does not change, but it is disassembled. You need to figure a way out to assemble it back. And that's how I'm going to take you through. At this point, I want you to remember, if you have come this far, there are no shortcuts. I wish there were, but there are no shortcuts. What exists, however, are methods that can be implemented once and can have lasting changes in your life. So if you're looking for a hack, if you're looking for a Notion template, this is not where you find it. So further down, if you have the 5 minutes, if you think these 5 minutes are something that you can dedicate to changing your life, go ahead and watch this. Number 1, and how to fix this is value alignment. Now, what I want you to do is actually take a piece of paper like this and ask yourself, which area of my life do I want to be consistent at? Now, when we ask this question, more often or not, there are only 2 or 3, maximum about 5 areas of our life. Let's take that. One area can be your work. I'm writing it down as we speak. The second area can be your hobby. Third can be your health. Fourth can be your family and friends. Right? And fifth is actually probably something that you can offshoot from a hobby and say, let's say something to do with passive, right? Passive income. Now, I wanted to pick the one area of your life that you really think that you want to be more consistent at. It can be anything within that area of your life, but just pick one, right? Let's just be very honest. You can't pick all of them. If you want to pick all of them, I would go ahead and suggest you do. However, it's kind of not possible at the same time, unless and until you're peak performing every single day, right? You've satisfied all your need, want, and desire, and that's when you want to pick all the 5 and you can go very hard at it. That's when I suggest you pick 5. If you can't, then if you're not there, then I don't suggest it. But let's go. So if, let's say, for example, I want to pick passive income, right? So in my case, I'm picking passive income as an area of my life or a side hustle or whatever, right? Where I want to be consistently showing up. Now, the question I want to ask here is, one, we first go down and then we go up, right? So when I say we go down, I ask, what specifically are you not consistent at right now? So there could be at least 6 or 7 things, but if you actually put them in an order, the 6 things that you think you're not consistent at always has the first thing you're not consistent at that is leading to the other 5, right? I'll give you an example. I am not consistent at creating content, and that leads me to obviously not being consistent at publishing content, then about getting leads, then about, meeting new people for my leads, so on and so forth. And I can go on, right? So one of the things that when I want you to look at when you're actually at the stage of your at the stage of the video is that I want you to ask yourself if there are 6 things that you're not consistent at in, let's say, a particular section of your life, which one comes first, which leads to the other 5, right? That makes it a lot more easier to narrow it down. So for example, in my case, it is I am inconsistently producing and creating videos, for example. Again, it's an example. You might actually see 1 video every week, but hey, you know what? Examples. So where do I want to be more consistent, right? So create content. That's where I want to be more consistent, right? Now, once you've gotten to this specific, right, create content, it can go even further, like creating a particular YouTube long video, creating scripting, which part of it do you actually remain inconsistent with? But at this stage, I want you to ask yourself, why is this important? Why is creating content important to you? Or why is whatever that you have written down important to you? So in my case, if I ask myself, why is creating content important? The first thing that comes up is because it builds brand. Why is building brand important? And I'm not asking about in general, right? When you think about this activity, what I want you to do is think about it in a way that why is it important to you? Or why is it important to me? Right? I'm not asking why is it important in general, right? Because whenever I've asked this, let's say in a coaching session or whenever I've spoken to somebody, and I've been doing this for a while now, right? When they say this is important because it helps people, when I ask them why is building brand important, it helps people get clients. And I said, but is it helping you get clients? Is that why you're doing it? And the answer is no. Why is building brand important for them is because that's how they have seen it, right? And most importantly, that's how I have seen it. And I can actually say, gives me credibility. Why is giving me, like, why is having credibility the most important thing, right? Trust. It builds trust in my audience. Now, this is where after like the 4 whys or the 5th why, you will come to what I call the ultimate purpose question, ultimate value question. You have come to an understanding that trust is a value that you need to have in your system, right? You value trust and hence you are valuing credibility, you value building brand, and hence you want to create content, or hence I want to create content. So we went from having something specific to figuring out what value do I have, right? Building trust. So step number 1 was just trying to understand what is my values, right? How do I actually get to that value segment of mine? So my value that I actually have in my system for creating content that I want to remain consistent for is I want to be building my trust. Now, once you actually zoom out of the whole situation, you then start and realize that more often or not, creating content is just not the way to actually build trust among people that you have around you, right? But more importantly, every time you're going into actually making content, the first thing that you need to actually ask yourself is, hey, am I building trust with this? Yes. And that actually gives you the motivation that you need to go for. So instead of looking at the task and saying I'm creating content, you're now looking at the task and you're reframing the entire thing and saying I'm building trust in the system, because now you already know that trust is important. So reframing it from a specific task to getting into the values of it usually helps get there. The second step that I actually tell people, and most probably I ask people what has helped them get to the stage where they are right now, it's called habit stacking. Now, this is something that you would have heard everywhere. Every other video on YouTube actually talks about habit stacking. What I talk about, however, in habit stacking is the ability to actually stack habits that align to the value that you have and then journal them. Simple. Step number 2 under this entire practical framework is you have figured out what is the value that you actually have towards which you want to work for. So building trust, in my case, it's building trust. So when I actually go through days, every single day, and when I create my to-do list or action item or whatever it is, right? The first thing I'm going to ask myself is, hey, how do I go ahead and create a to-do list that actually aligns to my value system? And when I do create it, the first thing that I'm going to ask is, okay, what's that one thing that I can do every single day that will align to the value system of me building trust in my audience? It can be as simple as writing a one-liner on X or Twitter, or it can be as simple as recording a 20-second video on YouTube. But you can figure that out by yourself. It can, for somebody who's doing this to get fit, right, in their health section of their life, it could be as simple as just eating at home. If somebody is doing this at work, it can be as simple as going to work early. It is depending on what your value system is and what you want to actually attain with that particular consistency. And then figuring out one habit that you can do every single day for the next 3 months. Forget about everything else. Just that one habit that aligns to the purpose, that aligns to the value. Don't just pick a habit because it has to happen. Pick a habit because you need to align it to the value. Now, the third and the last part is replace, do not create. One of the biggest mistakes that I see people is that, hey, I want to actually go for a jog in the morning. So what I'll do, I'll wake up at 6:30 and I'll go to the jog. Now your subconscious mind has no clue as to what is going to happen at 6:30, right? So you need to be in a state of mind where you can replace a current behavior with your new behavior, or else your mind is not going to actually register the new behavior at all. I'm not stating it out of my own experience. This is research, 2013, 2016, Steigermeier et al. Go ahead and research this. But more importantly, your subconscious mind is wired and triggered to never break routine. Why else do you think you love the comfort zone? Why else do you think I love the comfort zone? Mind is configured. Mind does not like the threat. Every time you try to change a routine, it looks at it as a threat and then brings you back into it. So for you to be able to successfully change habits, become consistent, you need to replace and not create a new habit. So I'll give you an example. If 6:30, you were never waking up before, I don't even think waking up at 6:30 is going to help you. You need to actually first figure out how to get to that stage even before the stage happens. So maybe it's about previous night. It's about what's going to happen previously, even before you sleep. Maybe you need to eat at 7:30. So instead of today, you were commuting from work to home at 7:30, you need to figure out a way to actually get to home, eat wherever you are, so that you get that time to sleep at 10 o'clock in the night and wake up at 6:30. You need to start replacing your current habits with healthier ones to be able to get to that stage. Three, two, one. Final thoughts. For the last X amount of minutes, right, we have spoken about what is consistency, why is it important, why most people fail, and how to actually fix it, right? And fix it in the terms that it's not broken, it's just disassembled. You need to assemble it back in a different methodology that you have done it over a period of time. Now, I can assure you a lot of people have gone at it hard. They've gone at it alone. They've gone at it because they think they can do this, and they can. I'm assuring you that you can. However, at some point or the other, you will start realizing that a lot of consistency and a lot of habits are a result of belief systems. And hence, most times that whenever you're trying to do something, it's not going to work out in your favor. You're going to go rolling back to what you were doing before. And that's not going to help. So if you're looking for someone who can help you navigate this situation, navigate the next 3 months to actually become consistent, whether be it in your hobby, it can be at your workplace, it can be with fitness, it can be with family and friends, it can even be with starting up your own business, right? You can go ahead and leave a comment below and I will get in touch with you. Till then, keep liking, subscribing, and share it with someone who is currently facing an issue on how to start or how to remain consistent. Thank you.